All right, folks, it's Thursday, July the 3rd. That's right, it's July the 3rd, 2025. And of course, as always, a lot is going on in the world and in the news and all along those lines. And we'll be telling you about those different things. And hopefully, some of the fellows will be joining us to share with us their thoughts about these news items and all along those lines. But definitely a lot's going on in the news. Definitely looks like Trump might be closing in on a big win. So there's definitely talk about that and all along those lines. So we're going to see whether the big, beautiful bill gets passed or not. Hamas seeks a ceasefire guarantees as scores more are killed in Gaza. So Hamas is studying the new ceasefire proposal and calls for an end to the Gaza war. And that was from yesterday and all along those lines. So they are saying that Hamas is open to a ceasefire, but Netanyahu says there's no room for Hamas in post-war Gaza. So definitely we'll see how this all plays out as well. And Reeves makes a surprise appearance with the Prime Minister after tears in the Parliament. So tough day. Reeves addresses tears in Commons after joining Starmer at an NHS event and all along those lines. So that is definitely something that is being talked about in the news when it comes to Britain and all along that kind of way. Israel hits Gaza with heavy strikes. 118 reported killed in past day, according to the Hamas ministry, and all along those lines. So the Hamas ministry is saying that that's how many were killed in that particular strike. Pope Leo the 14th returns to Castel Gandolfo for a summer retreat. So the Pope returns to Castel Gandolfo for a summer, and there will be tennis. So apparently he might be getting his tennis game in as well. So he's reviving a centuries-old vacation tradition, bringing hope of a tourist boom to that particular area and all along those lines. So with holiday at summer residence, Pope Leo is revived a centuries-old tradition. So we'll see if this helps their tourism boost or all along those lines in that part of Italy. A top Russian naval commander was killed in Kursk by a Ukraine strike. So Ukraine kills one of the highest ranking Russian officers of the conflict. Deputy commander of Russian Navy killed in strike near the Ukraine front line. So that is definitely something that people are talking about as well, as Russia's Navy Deputy Commander Glutkov was killed during combat. And Dalai Lama says his successor will be chosen by Tibetan tradition. So he confirms the institution will continue with a successor. So BBC visited the heart of Tibetan resistance as showdown loomed between the Dalai Lama and China. So definitely that's something that is in the news as well. And Thai court suspends prime minister over that phone call with Hun Sen. So that's something coming out of the Asian theater and all along those lines. So Thailand's prime minister suspended over a leaked phone call with a former strongman. So Thai opposition to hold off on no confidence vote against the government. So definitely that is something else that's going on in Asia. And a ferry sinks off of Bali, leaving dozens missing. So Indonesia, 5 are dead and dozens missing after the ferry sank off of Bali. Rescuers are searching for survivors after ferry sinking near Bali, Indonesia. So that is something else that folks are talking about in the news. And 4 dead and dozens missing after the ferry sinking near that part of the world and all along those lines. And Denmark pushes to suspend Hungary's EU voting rights. So that's something that's just in the news on today. So it looks like Denmark is launching its EU presidency, facing war in Ukraine and Trump tariff chaos and all along those lines. So Ukraine president arrives in Denmark for talks with key European backers. So that's something else that folks are talking about as well. Denmark backs Ukraine's EU membership quest as Zelensky is meeting key European backers in that area. And Swaney in BBC says Starmer's approach to welfare reform is appalling. So welfare clamped down, lets genie out of the bottle, and that's something else that folks are talking about as well. So definitely that is a story coming out of that part of the area. And according to the Guardian, no one knows what happens next. So they are saying in the BBC yesterday that humiliation for Starmer as he loses control of the Commons. So, understanding the controversy over the UK government's welfare bill, and Keir Starmer is enduring rebellion in Parliament over a welfare cut. So, issues around welfare are not just here in the United States, but they're in other parts of the world as well. And Haiti gangs have near total control of the capital, according to the UN. So the UN says that the Haitian capital has been paralyzed and isolated by gang violence, according to what the Security Council hears. A year in, Haiti mission leaders warns of shortfalls in troops, funds, and gear. So that is something that folks are talking about as well. So Haiti, a year later, milestone amid losses and hope. Haiti, apparently, according to Human Rights Watch, is on the edge of collapse. And hotels and homes evacuated on the Greek island of Crete as wildfires burn out of control. So tourists evacuated as Crete wildfire spreads. So wildfire on Crete forces evacuation of 1,500 tourists and locals. So that's something that folks are talking about as well. So definitely, it looks like there is definitely a serious wildfire in that area. And Colombia seizes the first unmanned narco submarine with Starlink antenna. So drone narco sub equipped with Starlink antenna seized for the first time in that part of the world in Latin America. So the Colombian Navy intercepted a narco submarine featuring technology that made it hard to track. So that is something that people are looking at as well, as it was seized in the Caribbean Sea off of the country of Colombia. And Chechny's strongman is visibly ailing. The Russian region is bracing for succession. So that's something that people are talking about as well. And von der Leyen's European Commission faces a no confidence vote. So von der Leyen to face a parliament confidence vote next Thursday, and all along those lines. And there's a heat wave across Europe, which is causing death, and definitely wildfires are in that area as well, as scorching European heat wave turns deadly in Spain, Italy, and France. So there's definitely some hot weather that is out there, even in the Europe area as well. And Brussels fiddles on climate target while Europe burns. So that's something else that we're hearing in the news as well. So lots going on, and all in that space. There's even conversations here in the U.S. with that big, beautiful bill, and all along those lines. So I'm bringing in Sasha. We'll see if others join as well in a little bit. But by the way, there was a fireworks facility in Esperado, California that exploded. So 7 people were unaccounted for after California fireworks warehouse explosion and fire that took place on yesterday. And there are people that are missing after that powerful explosion. And Paramount settled its lawsuit with Donald Trump for $16 million, and all along those lines. And U.S. contractors say their colleagues are firing live ammo as Palestinians seek food in Gaza. And a plane crash near Cross Keys Airport in New Jersey. A skydiving plane with 15 people on board goes off the runway at the New Jersey airport, injuring multiple people. So that is something else that folks are talking about. And of course, folks are still exploring Iran's nuclear program and whether it is still active or all along those lines. ABC News said that the program was knocked back closer to 2 years, according to what the Pentagon is saying. So definitely that's something that folks are paying attention to, and all along those lines. And like I said, the bill is still there. Looks like it may actually pass, but we'll see what folks have to say about that, and all along those lines. And there is a lawsuit accusing the Trump administration of systematic pattern of targeting minorities in immigration crackdown. So the ACLU is suing to block ICE raids in Southern California, alleging constitutional violations. So definitely we'll see how this all goes. And NPR is saying the mega bill will limit healthcare access and plans to ease gun regulations, and all along those lines. So I'll bring in Sasha, bring in Rick as well, and see if anybody else joins us. I was actually just watching a story yesterday in our local news, and they were talking about how SNAP would be impacted here. There was a lady that was running one of our programs, and it was sounded like there would be some significant impact to the SNAP program if this bill passes. And of course, SNAP is how a lot of kids get their nutrition if they are from poor neighborhoods, whether that's in school or out of school, and all along those lines. So they were definitely thinking that it could hurt them significantly. And I think that they are saying that the states are supposed to pick up some of the slack. But whether that'll happen or not, that is another question. So, how are y'all doing, and what are y'all hearing about this big, beautiful bill? It looks like it might actually be passing either today or tomorrow, even though yesterday when I looked at it, they were down a couple of votes from what they needed. But that was yesterday. And now that I'm looking here, they're thinking that it might actually pass.
Well, they had a procedural vote in the middle of the night at like 2 a.m. or even later to get that procedural vote passed, and now I guess it's open for debate. And as soon as the Democrats stop talking, I don't know when they can have the vote, but it is a rotten bill. It takes away trillions of bucks from social services and adds trillions to the deficit. To give I'm not saying anything new, to give a huge tax break to billionaires. And any tax breaks for poorer people expire after 3 years, like no tax on tips, which isn't really no tax on tips. It's a partial exemption. It doesn't even do what it says it does.
Well, what's going on over there in Canada, Sasha, and everything? I know you've been following a lot of the news stories, and of course on Tuesdays we usually talk about Ukraine and Russia, but I do know Zelensky is over there talking to the fine folks from Denmark and everything like that. So how are things going in your neck of the woods, and what are you hearing about the latest situations with Ukraine and its resistance against Russia?
See, the problem with Ukraine and Trump's betrayal of Ukraine by withholding the weapons in the critical moment when Russia is mounting stronger and stronger advances on its front lines. That's coming from the Trump's belief that Russia is much stronger and eventually would win this war, and therefore he doesn't want to side with the loser. The reality, though, on front lines is very different. Ukraine is mounting more and more offenses on Russian territories, 1,000 kilometers away from the front lines. On the front lines, Russia cannot make any sizable advances. I mean, sometimes they spend weeks and months to take a little village with 50 people living in there, losing well over 1,000 people a day. So this is what Russia is doing. They are exhausting Ukrainians by absolute barbaric bombardments of Ukrainian cities, killing civilians. And so this is a terrorist behavior all along the way. And how American people allow Trump, just one person who believes that because Russia is stronger, therefore I have to side with Russia. And right now I've heard he's on the phone with Putin. So again, I don't know what's coming of this phone. So he's there now for 6 months already, talking to Putin back and forth on the phone and through Witkoff and through all other systems, asking for a ceasefire for 30 days. That's all what he is asking Putin to do. And Putin is playing Trump as a little boy, telling him all kind of stories about what's happening in Russia 1,000 years ago, and why Ukrainian people and Russian people are the same people. And because they're the same people, he's bombarding and killing people in exactly territories like cities like Kharkov, Odessa, where people speak Russian. Very few people in the city speak Ukrainian, by the way, but they are part of Ukraine. And Ukraine is a country where all people are defending the country regardless of their mother tongue, nationality, religion, or anything. They're all together in it. So I'm disappointed, but Europe is firmly on the Ukrainian side and they're helping a great deal. And if Trump will decide to pull all the help to Ukraine, and furthermore, maybe even to pull all help to NATO countries and say, okay, America first, we're going to deal with America's problem, and you deal with your own problem, Europeans, okay? That's very possible scenario, and Europeans are preparing for that.
Yeah, and I know that I just heard, and I think I mentioned it in the news before y'all got here, that a major commander was killed. So maybe that will definitely help the Ukrainian situation because it looked like it was a major Russian commander and everything like that. So I'm sure you've been following that story, and maybe you can tell me more about the commander and his impact and all along those lines. But I did see that another one had gone down.
The one commander who has to go down is Putin, and that will happen. I have no doubts about that.
So you're confident that's going to happen. That's good and everything like that. Rick, what are you seeing coming out of California and everything like that? Because I know a lot's going on in the world. And of course, we got.
So Clayton Kershaw joined the 3,000 strikeout club, which with the Dodgers last night. So,
okay.
When stuff's all shitty in the world, at least you can turn to sports for a little bit of distraction.
Mm-hmm.
There is the distraction of sports, and there are even people that are starting their careers. Hopefully they, because I know one of the things that Nick and Kim started this network for was around fiscal literacy and fiscal responsibility, and there are a bunch of new athletes that now have big contracts, and we hopefully that they are getting some investment advice. Maybe they're getting investment advice from people like Sasha and everything like that, because we do know there are a number of players. I had two of my Marquette players, because that's my alma mater, that went. One that was expecting to go, Cam Jones, who will be playing for the Pacers, and the other one will be in the summer league. So David Joplin will be playing for the Bucks, and they've got nice little contracts, and we'll see if those contracts are smart enough to get some financial advice as well. Because like I said, that's part of the reason that I know Kim and Nick said they started this network is because they felt that we weren't getting enough around fiscal literacy just in general and everything like that.
Well,
so tell me how's your day going?
Fiscal literacy in sports is a whole thing, because most professional athletes end up broke a couple of years after their pro career ends.
Yeah, because most of them don't have like a financial plan or anything like that and everything. And so, tell me how's your day going? What are you thinking about we were talking earlier about both the war in Russia and Ukraine, but also the big, beautiful bill, which looks like it's heading toward passing on the 4th of July and everything like that. So what are you hearing? What are you seeing? Are you expecting that it's going to pass? It did seem like there were some Republicans that were dropping off and were resisting, but maybe not enough of them and everything like that. So what's your take on what's going on, Jacoby?
Yeah, of course it was going to pass. I mean, the GOP will always bend the knee. They're not going to stand up to Trump. It's a cult. They don't want to have to deal with the cult mentality or the individuals that would come after them. I mean, this administration is authoritarian. I mean, it's plain and simple. And the GOP is not going to stand up to them. They're consolidating power up under the presidency. From being, they can legitimately now arrest anybody that they want to, and since the courts can't really stop it, so yeah, we're in an authoritarian situation. So yeah, they were always going to bend the knee, and it sucks what they're doing. It's horrible what they're doing in Ukraine, or to the country of Ukraine, pulling the support from that, especially now that North Korea has jumped into the fray wholeheartedly. So now you have North Korean soldiers along with Russian soldiers attacking Ukraine. But now the U.S. is pulling its support because Trump is trying to, again, gift wrap Ukraine for Putin. So, yeah, it's horrible. We're in a very sad place right now for this country.
Speaking of a sad place, apparently, and maybe you got some thoughts around this, Sasha. You can do a investment show which deals with the economy, but apparently there is, I guess, some encouraging news because U.S. hiring is remaining solid as unemployment rates fall. So that was reported earlier today and everything. So the U.S. economy apparently added a stronger than expected 147,000 jobs in June and everything like that, and the Dow rised after that strong jobs report. So are we doing better?
Bloomberg is out with an article saying that the administration is lying, is juicing the job numbers, is straight up lying about the job numbers. Jobs in the private sector fell 33,000 in June, the first time in 2 years that they've had a loss in job numbers, and the government is messing with the numbers to make it look like overall job numbers went up. They did.
Just to point out, Rick, you're spot on, because even the Fed said that they do not trust the numbers coming out of this administration. So, yeah.
And Trump is trying to get rid of Powell, and although Powell still has contract running into next year, but he does everything possible. He's smearing him, and he's barking at him, and he wants him to leave one way or another. So that's really funny. Now, the thing is that yesterday on my investment show, I had discussion with Dr. Milan Sombrak, who is a great believer in American economy, and he's investing in S&P 500 and saying it's by a whole economy. U.S. is a winning strategy because U.S. economy can only expand and go farther and farther. And he asked me if I support that opinion. I said, no, I don't support that opinion, because the numbers which are presently available, they don't include the tariffs yet. So wait until the next reports are starting coming in a month or two, which will start include the tariffs. And all the tariff situation is very uncertain. Is July 9th is in a few days, especially that tomorrow is a holiday in US, so it's Monday is the 7th, so Wednesday is the deadline on all these tariffs deals. So what's going to happen? He's not going to sign 90-some tariffs deals in a day and a half, so it will be all postponed for another month, 2-3 months, whatever it might be, and it doesn't look pretty. The market and investors, they like certainty and they hate uncertainty. This all continuation of uncertainty. And to tell the truth, I'm using this opportunity, like today when the market is doing well, I'm reducing my investments because you don't know what's going to happen.
So Trump claimed he'd get 90 tariff deals done in 90 days. He's gotten one done with Vietnam, and that deal apparently is worse than the deal they had before he even tried to make a deal. So he's America's worst. He's
not having a good track record at all. But
I mean,
I was just going to say he's also doing a lot of crazy spending and all along those lines. Because I thought he was supposed to be, or at least that's what he claimed in his campaign, trying to cut deficit. I mean, there was the whole thing with him and Musk, and apparently they're at each other's throats and everything like that. But looks like on the 4th of July, he is going to kick off a year-long celebration of America's 250th anniversary with events in Iowa. So I'm thinking that none of these events are exactly cheap. So I'm thinking that if anything, he's probably increasing the debt and not decreasing the debt with all of these events.
It depends whether
he's going to be doing things annually, like for the whole year.
Well, Trump doesn't pay the bills. When he holds a rally, at least half of the time, he doesn't pay the venue. And he still owes hundreds of thousands of dollars to places all the way back to 2016 where he held rallies. So I don't know. Will the government be picking up the tab? I don't know. He won't, because he's a deadbeat. He and the rest of his family are the biggest deadbeats in American history. They have stiffed creditors for more than $1.5 billion. It's crazy the crap that he gets away with.
Yeah, he definitely gets away with a lot. Speaking of getting away with a lot, and so something that Toby's talked about, which is the way black and brown people are treated by these ICE raids and everything. Apparently, and this came out, I think it was yesterday, Kilmar Abrego Garcia is alleging that when he got sent to El Salvador, he was actually tortured. So it says he was beaten and subjected to psychological torture in the El Salvador jail. So I'm sure that the ACLU and others will be jumping on this case and everything. So will this be a case of this being able to help him get acquitted and all along those lines? Because it's coming out now that he was abused and all along those lines. So what is y'all's take on that?
I don't know that his current charges, which were trumped up, were for transporting illegal aliens across state lines, and it's a bogus charge based on he had a pickup truck. He drove a pickup truck. Sometimes he'd fill the truck with his fellow construction workers and he'd drive them to where they were working. It wasn't any kind of scheme to add illegal aliens to America. It was, well, I'm the one with the truck, so I'm driving to work. I don't know whether being tortured, does anything in terms of getting rid of these garbage charges. I doubt it.
They don't care. Let's just be honest. They don't care. He's brown. He's Hispanic. They don't care. And that's the saddest part. I mean, that's just our sad reality. We have to stop sugarcoating things because this is the world we live in. Trump literally, this is, for example, Sasha and I will go back and forth over, Israel and stuff like that. But Sasha knows I love him. Sasha knows I'll sit there. We'll battle back and forth. But he knows that I'll be honest with him, and I know he'll be honest with me. Trump legitimately tells people that, he's for Israel. Well, why did you just hire a gentleman who is not only racist and bigoted, but also a denier of the Holocaust, and also hung out with Nick Fuentes, the biggest Holocaust denier in the world? That's not being honest. He's just completely lying and putting out BS so he can get a vote for individuals that will just fall for anything. So it's not. We just have to stop the sanitizing what Trump is doing, sanitizing what is happening, and we just have to tell it like it is. I mean, right now, again, when the courts decided that there can't be a nationwide injunction based on whatever, you have to be a part of that class action lawsuit. So if Trump goes in California and starts deporting black people, you know what? If I'm not a part of that lawsuit that comes before him, and then on top of that, while the black people have been deported already, I can be deported too. Still, he can do it unlawfully. Then who's next. Again, it goes back, and then I hate to make the comparison, but what was the most famous poem dealing around the Holocaust? The poem about they come for you.
Yeah.
That is what we are at now, because you have black and brown people that are being done now. You then will have, of course, whoever he disagrees with after that, which will be the Jewish people, which will be other individuals. These are the people that he's hired, and it's not trying to be hyperbolic, and it's not trying to be scary. This is what's happening.
Jitovi, look, during election, there was, for various reasons which I don't want to go into, there was a unified front of MAGA and MAGA-minded people who elected Trump. Now, to see the situation for real, it's much deeper than what you presented, because there is any power that could oppose Trump presently, and neither in Senate or in the House or in the judiciary or just anywhere. So it has to be people who are unhappy about, and there are enough unhappy people because, first of all, those who voted against Trump. There are plenty of these people. Now, people who voted for Trump, but now they can see what he is up to and what he is actually doing, and there will be enough of those people. Who is going to unite this? Who is going to lead this movement? Where are all the Democratic leaders?
Well, the thing is, the Democrats are trying to do whatever. Right now, you have on the House floor Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, they have no power. The people are sitting. We talked about this the other day when we're talking about the double standard. The fact that the Democrats have to respond to everything that Trump is doing, and they're doing that, but we're not accepting of what they're doing. They have no power to stop Trump. The only people at this moment that can stop Trump are the individuals that you just spoke about, the MAGA movement. But they're not going to do anything until, as you correctly said, until it affects them. And how late will it be? For example, the Hispanic individuals that voted for Trump are now regretting it because what? They're being deported. So now they're upset and now they're trying to push back. Now they're going on TikTok blaming black people. Black people, why aren't you standing up with us? Well, 80% voted against Trump. 80% of black people voted against Trump. What else do you want us to do? So now, it has to be those individuals that you talked about. Democrats can't do it by themselves. They're trying to do whatever they can, but they can't do it by themselves. So the MAGA movements, or the people in that MAGA crowd. But again, right now, the J6ers, none of those people who cheered for the J6 people are going to go against Trump because they just put a J6er, an individual that was in the process of being, basically he was on trial because he was one of the officers who was in that J6 crowd that had assaulted other officers and done other things. Well, guess what? He's now part of the department that's actually going after the individuals who prosecuted the J6 people. So by the time these individuals wake up and say, okay, now it's affecting me, will it be too late? That's the problem that we're at right now because they have to stand up.
All right. So Springsteen is currently in Germany and is doing a series of huge arena concerts where he disses Trump because Germany has had its own experience with fascism. They don't like it. They hate what they did 80 years ago. And so he's got a very receptive audience over there. They're afraid of it coming again because it is trying to, but the deal is with the Nazis were probably not as stupid as Trump and his people because the Nazis went after the Jews. The Nazis, among other things, were an organized theft ring. And they went after the Jews because there weren't that many Jews. They were easy to push around, and they had a lot of money and possessions. So the Nazis wanted to steal their shit. The Trump and his people aren't even as smart as that. Alligator Alcatraz costs $450 million, $90,000 per prisoner per year. $250 a day to keep them in shitty conditions. And that money is coming out of FEMA, which is supposed to be for disaster relief. So they are economic idiots, in addition to being cruel motherfuckers.
No, they're definitely cruel. And although, by the way, there's a new poll that came out on Newsbreak that American voters fear Trump's presidency will harm the country for years. So apparently, I know that we don't always believe in polls, but there is a new poll that's saying that the voters are actually now fearing the Trump presidency and all along those lines. And the Supreme Court just recently announced, this is breaking news, that they're going to take up the ban on transgender athletes in girl and women's sports. And I know that that's an issue that sometimes Nick brings up and everything. So I guess
there's an athlete, Riley Gaines, a college swimmer that didn't lose, tied with a trans athlete. And she's been bitching about the trans athlete ever since. Now she makes a good living, probably $200,000 a year, going on Fox. And, she's paid for by a conservative think tank to go talk about all sorts of conservative issues, and now the swimmer, the trans swimmer who tied with her because of Trump's pressure, that swimmer's record has now been, his performance in events in college years ago have now been expunged. So Riley Gaines, this woman who was so pissed, she's not in this race that happened 6 years ago. She's gone from being tied for fifth to being all alone in fifth place. So she didn't lose any awards. She came in fifth place, and now she's still in freaking fifth place.
Well, not only that, but again, that is still on the same thing. They're going after the transgender community. They're going after the LGBTQIA rights themselves, because remember, they're trying to press the Supreme Court to go ahead and judge on gay marriage. They're also it was Clarence Thomas, of all people, who wanted to suspend due process. He wants to revisit that court case. We are at, again, a sad moment, and we really have to. I mean, check this out. How offensive would it have been to sell merch during the Holocaust? Well, it would have been extremely offensive. It is offensive to sell merch right now to Alligator Alcatraz, but that's what the Republican Party is doing.
So they're selling Alligator Alcatraz merchandise and everything. But I also saw that Trump, now that he got his former bestie that's no longer a bestie and everything along those lines, apparently he even admitted that he planted a story about drug use and everything in the New York Times. So what is our thoughts around this? Because apparently,
let's go back to the merch for a second, because there were some good opportunities to sell merch during World War II. So when you arrived at Auschwitz, likely to be killed almost immediately, sent to the gas chambers, there was an arch over the entrance that spelled out Arbeit macht frei, which means work sets you free. It was ostensibly a work camp. It was really a death camp, but their signage said work camp. And there are people. There was one guy in the J6 riots who was wearing an Auschwitz T-shirt. But if Hitler, they could have sold these Arbeit macht frei T-shirts if people had worn T-shirts back then. But they weren't that stupid.
I was in Auschwitz and more than once, and I'll tell you that yes, indeed, the sign is still there. And however, it was a working camp where people were also killed for various reasons. But 800 meters away from Auschwitz, there was a Birkenau, which was not a camp. It was a factory of killing people. There was no work of any kind. So when people were transported and arrived to Birkenau, with only one goal: to be exterminated. So that was indeed extermination camp. Nothing else. There was no factories. There was nothing. People wouldn't work there even 1 minute. They were brought there and exterminated. So that was a Birkenau.
So the Nazis had a problem with these camps. Throughout World War II, the Nazis experimented with killing people they didn't like in large numbers. And the problem was, one of the main, the logistics. It's easy to kill a bunch of people at once, but it's hard for it not to make the murderers go crazy. If you tell soldiers to shoot 100 people in cold blood, only a few soldiers can do that without, you have them do that for a week or two, they will freak out. They'll become unusable as soldiers and as people. So over the course of the war, the Nazis evolved systems of mass murder that were more industrial, that that let them do their work of murdering 11 million people, because it wasn't just 6 million Jews, it was another 5 million other people they didn't like, but in such a way that the workers there could do their jobs without having mental breakdowns.
And one way of doing that, if you will tell the soldiers that they are killing Jews and gypsies and communists and all other undesired species, so they will do it, of course, much easier than if you will tell them just kill. There's 100 innocent people, just go and kill all of them. So there is some fine quality in what they done. But you're right that when they developed this industrial mass killing, like Birkenau, for example, they didn't depend on people being urged to kill these Jews or communists or whoever. They were just, you had to put them in a gas chamber and put the gas, then taking people out and
the soldiers didn't even do the removing. It was other Jews who wanted to live another few days who were ordered to load up the dead onto carts and take them to the oven. So again, the Germans were sheltered from their own mass murder.
A lot of times they were sheltered from that.
So I still would like, when we are talking about this subject, I can't resist to mention this movie, BBC production, the God's Trial, the Trial of God. I don't remember exactly the name. I saw it several times, and there was very interesting situation where the last days, it was already 1945, so the last days of Auschwitz, and there is a chamber where Jews from different countries, some Hungarian Jews, some Polish.
What was that? Oh, that was Dr. Sharif.
Okay, Dr. Sharif, please don't. Okay, so anyway, so they were gathered there, and they decided to do a trial of God, because if God has allowed that to happen, that's his fault. That's what he's done. He didn't prevent it. He didn't fight it. He didn't do anything about it. So let's put God on trial. And among these Jews who were there were a few lawyers. There were a few well-educated people with their experiences, and they staged a real trial. So there were prosecutors who were telling people what they're exactly accused of God about, and so on. There were defenders. There were witnesses who were telling of horrible cases, what's happened to them personally. And there was one German. He was half German, half Jew, and he was betrayed by his neighbor, who knew there are some relatives of him are Jews, and so he's got into this Auschwitz as well. And he was the last one to testify on the trial. And he says, "Look, I'm not even a Jew, but I want to tell you something, that the Germans got everything from you, your possessions, your family members, and now they're going to try to get rid of you as well. But one thing they couldn't get you from, they couldn't get your belief, your religion, your customs. They couldn't get that. That's with you. And now you want yourself get rid of what makes you very special people." And then that's the end of this part. And actually, it starts with a bus with a tourist visiting Auschwitz. And there was an elderly man, obviously living through Second World War. and he was in Auschwitz during Second World War, but survived. And there was a young lady, and she's asking him because he told her all the story, and she's asking him, "So, what is the end of the trial? So, what's happened?" And he says, "Well, look, the Jews are still alive. We are here. And where is Hitler? He is not alive. He didn't make it." That's the end of story. But there is much more to it. It's a really fantastic uh, piece of art.
Yeah, the catching and everything like that. Sounds fascinating and everything. Hey, Jacoby, one of the things you were talking about, and we got Doc here as well and everything, is sometimes it is simple things that can get folks in trouble. So maybe, Rick, you might have some thoughts around this as well. So apparently in a news report by NBC, one of the major networks, it was revealed that President Donald Trump often excuses himself from White House meetings to use his personal cell phone. So this is going to be the little thing that gets him in trouble because after speaking with several of Trump's aides, it was made clear that the president prioritizes his friends over his political duties, according to a senior.
Who's going to get him in trouble?
official.
Pam Bondi is his attorney general running the Department of Justice. She doesn't. She is entirely in his pocket. Who is going to provide any kind of accountability? Nobody.
That's true because, like I said, they said this 79-year-old president paused meetings to call AFC UFC legend Dana White, as well as Robert Murdoch, former chairman of Fox and News Corp. He'll say, "Let's call Rupert. Fox is killing me today," the official told the outlet. So I guess he's calling Rupert to complain about Fox's coverage, even though Fox is supposed to be pro-Trump. So I guess he's getting ready to call his buddy Rupert and say, "Stop that."
Well, let's talk about people getting in trouble. Obama one time ordered Dijon mustard on a sandwich. Well,
Right.
Dijon is a region in France. So he was attacked for days on Fox News for ordering French mustard instead of good American mustard. I mean, he didn't get prosecuted for it, but the people, the people were up in arms about that. So, but Trump can do whatever the hell he wants, and he won't lose any votes. And it's to talk about Trump getting in trouble or somebody going on Twitter and just destroying Trump. Trump doesn't get destroyed. You go on Twitter and you say Trump is, a piece of shit. Nobody cares. You don't change any minds.
And apparently he's got the same habits that he used to have. Maybe Doc's got the same habits, but they say that they don't think the president's habits have changed much. One of these people that was in this particular article referring to Trump's first time in office, apparently he watches a lot of TV and he lives on the telephone. He likes to be called. In fact, last time that this person was with him, he said, "Why don't you call me anymore?" And I'm thinking because I don't have anything to say. And number two, because you're the president and you're busy. So apparently he likes to get a lot of phone calls and watch a lot of TV. So apparently this is Trump's life and everything, not doing a lot of the business of the people. So apparently his life is
during his
watching a lot of
first
TV.
administration, people looked at his schedule and found out he was working maybe 2 hours a day. It's going to be the same. He's 79 years old. It's going to be the same situation now. He's unaccountable. He doesn't have to get elected again. He's going to do whatever the heck he wants, whenever he wants to do it. And we could be upset about it, but there are no consequences.
Apparently no consequences. Hey Doc, what's going on in Bangladesh? I know we got a few more minutes of what's happening in your neck of the woods and everything like that. We've been talking about a number of the stories here in the U.S., but we always like to hear what's going on in the Asian theater as well.
Yeah, a lot of good things happening in Bangladesh and in Asia. And most important factor right now, like after some of the ceasefires in between Iran and Israel, in between India and Pakistan, uh, we are observing that it's good that we are not go for war and anything. So I believe that as Trump contribute for these things, uh, I think we should give some credit to USA because of this ceasefire and everything. Uh, but another things I'm observing that the dollar price is decreasing. Uh, I don't know. Maybe this is because of lot of decisions come from Trump administrations. This may be one of the cause. This dollar price is decreasing, uh, but I believe that in between North America and USA, we can make a lot of good business doors and we can work together. But recently, I'm observing China opens to the leading Southeast Asia nuclear free treaty. So China has offered to spread the signing of the Southeast Asia nuclear weapon free zone treaty. I do not know how this USA currently evaluating this joining and all of the process. Beside that, BYD outpaced Tesla, China advance in subsea cables. So even in Bangladesh, BYD take this electric car and all of the things. But I think there is a tension in between Tesla or Elon Musk and Trump for this investment in India. Barclays revamps APEC investment banking leadership. So I think that it's a very good science. They are uh, developing $2 billion cutting edge strategy in Asia Pacific. On the other hand, Asian markets remains subdued ahead of US job reports. So Asia Pacific equities were mostly flat as a trade awed by key US payroll data. And analysts are also monitoring Trump proposal $3.3 billion tax package and Vietnam market while buyout and saw its current dips. And uh, politically, Bangladesh right now we are taking preparations for our next elections. Uh, we have a lot of debate like we should go for TRP models or we should go for these previous democratic models. We are discussing with Australia, we are discussing with European countries, also in South Asian countries like India, how we can move with our democratic reformations. So we need more discussion like this. We need more debate. We need more open dialogues for Bangladesh. So thank you to give me these opportunities. I love Port TV and all of our speakers. You are amazing. Thank you.
No problem. Appreciate it. How's the heat doing there in Bangladesh? Because I know all over Europe is being very hot. Are y'all dealing with a lot of hot weather there as well?
Yes, we have climate related problems. Heat is definitely a problem, but right now, this COVID is increasing in India, Bangladesh. Already few people died because of COVID. So this is another important factor. But honestly speaking, I'm also worried because previously USAID playing a major role even in Bangladesh. I think around 50,000 people has engagement with USAID, and they also help our healthcare issues and everything. But I think USAID right now they do not operating anything, and it will create some problem low income people in Bangladesh, in Asia, and in Africa. So yeah, so I discussed with some previous employee of USA. Uh, I think they lose their jobs and they're well trained because USAID has a lot of contributions in developing nations like Bangladesh. But unfortunately, these 50,000 peoples, they do not have. So that may be a challenging situation for this development worker.
Yeah, that makes a lot of
And
sense. Hey, Sasha, you mentioned earlier Auschwitz and everything like that, and I just wondering if we only got 5 minutes, but maybe this will be our last topic of discussion on this particular edition of World Edition. But Auschwitz, I know, is a tourism destination, and nearly 50 years after it was a site of a horrible crime and everything like that, there are now folks that are saying that Jonestown in Guyana is open to tourists as well. And some are asking, why would you want to go to Jonestown, which is that horrible religious mass suicide and all along those lines? So, what is our thoughts around these notions of historical sites, whether they are horrible tragedies or historical tragedies like Auschwitz or horrible crimes like what was in Jonestown, becoming tourism attractions, because definitely there was one of the stories I was reading was the site of the Jonestown Massacre is open to tourists, and some are asking why, both among the folks from Guyana as well as even some of the folks that are Americans as well. So what is our thoughts around this notion of these kind of horrible atrocity locations being tourism attractions, and should they be tourism attractions?
I don't think that they are tourist attraction. I'm talking about primarily about Auschwitz. Um, this is a memorial. In a way, it stands the way it was in 1945 when it was liberated. It's exactly the same. They have, for example, a giant place where they have nothing but glasses of Jews who were killed, or they have women's purses, and it's like mountains of them, and or shoes of children who were killed there. And you see, first of all, it's difficult to compare what's happened in Auschwitz and other extermination camps or concentration camps, regardless how you call them, and what's happened to Guyana. I can't even to compare the magnitude, the scale, the meaning where there were people were deliberately killed, unlike in Guyana where people choose a certain way of living as well as dying. So it's difficult to compare, and I don't think anybody should even try to do that.
Yeah.
Unless
That
you have
makes
some
sense.
kind of agenda.
And apparently that's what it was an agenda, because the Jonestown Memorial Tour, operated by the Guyanese company called Wanderlust Adventures, offers a $750 trip that includes a flight from the capital, Georgetown, a bumpy hour-long van ride, and a night in the nearby mining town of Port Katamo. And the tour has provoked backlash from Guyanese that are eager to shed any association with Jonestown, named for Mr. Jones, and from the survivors who say commodifying what happened there is lurid. So we're talking about how even the Trump administration does some of this kind of like lurid advertising and all along those lines. So you told me, any thoughts around this notion of making money off of tragedy?
Welcome to capitalism. Everything's for sale. I mean, we make money off of healthcare, where people are struggling to live. Yeah, this is the world that we're going into. Yeah, it's sad. I don't think you should do that, but where we are.
Yeah, apparently that's
Well,
where we're at. People making that game.
I think I would add that, look, if it's a commercial enterprise, so they're gambling that there are a lot of people who want to pay money to seize that place. By the way, in Auschwitz, nobody pays any money to anybody, okay? The place is open always, and you can visit. So, I mean, if it works, and maybe they're right, maybe there are a lot of people who really indeed want to see that, and they allow an opportunity for them to pay some money and see it. Okay, well,
Yeah.
let's
Could be. Rick, any last thoughts on anything before we get ready to get on out of here? And then, of course, we'll see about the 4th of July. I'll send an email.
Yeah, I'm hoping Hakeem Jeffries can keep talking long enough that the bill doesn't have a chance to pass before the 4th. The longer we go without that bill passing, the more people will realize how toxic it is. So it'll probably eventually pass, but let's, hold off for as long as possible.
And he definitely is, because he did another one sometime back where I think he talked for like a day or two or something like that. So he's definitely got some track record of these long speeches. So we'll see if he can do another long one, because I know he did one sometime back that was relatively.
Whether the bill passes depends on his bladder, how long, or whether he's wearing a diaper.
That's true. So we'll see how this all plays out. But right now we're getting ready to get out of here. We've got other shows coming on later on. So right now we're going to get on out of here, and I'll see you fine folks later on
on
into
Monday
the weekend.
or this afternoon, and then next
This
week.
afternoon. Right.
Bye bye.